The first topic today we are going to cover is trust architecture. A topic might be little fancy. Thanks to Gemini for getting me this wonderful topic. But at a very high level, I wanted to express the data engineers problem everyone is facing on day-to-day basis. What is the problem and like how that can be covered by simple like engineering practices that we can incorporate in the data pipeline, so that like say a data engineer wakes up happy in the morning without any pipeline issues. So that will be the overall topic today. So before moving on, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Karthik. I have been into tech industry for around 10, 11 years now. I started as a full stack engineer, but got transitioned into data engineer thanks to one of my teammates who partnered with me and then helped me to transition into a data engineer. So initially, I was also a full stack engineer, but somehow I like data is one thing which I liked, and I got transitioned into a fully data engineer. Uh, yeah, before we start on, I would like to understand the crowd. Is everyone here is from data community, or like, do we have other members as well? Uh, so, quick show of if everyone are data engineer, we are good. Or do we have a mix of other people as well? Any non-data engineers here, like are full stack engineers who are wishing to transfer to data? Okay, good. We have mixed audience then, yeah. But I have covered this completely without any specific to any tech stack. The examples that I will give would be in dbt and sql, but these can be applied more generically. It's a practice which we can apply to our pipeline rather than specific to an spark scenario or dbt scenario. uh, yeah. So, as data engineers, most of us will face this issue. Say, uh, we as a data team, we are the owners of the products that we serve. Say, for example, we have an sales report dashboard, which we are giving it to our end users or stakeholders. Based on this, they are deriving decisions on day-to-day basis. And say for us, as a data engineer, what we own is the data pipelines. So the morning, at least in the teams I have worked, what we do is the data engineers who are responsible for the data product is responsible for the support of the data pipelines as well. So we don't have a separate support team and then development team who hands over everything to support team. So in a typical day, there will be one person from my team who will be taking care of the support. Say for example, if there is any problems in any of the dashboards. So basic check what an engineer will do is he will see if all the pipelines are green and we don't have any slack alerts that there is an failure in pipeline. So this is the basic check we do, and then we proceed to all our development work, because we are developers and we wanted to develop something rather than supporting or just do support activities. So in that case, say I'm a data engineer, I see all the pipelines are green, and I proceed to my dev work. Say when our stakeholders come in, and they wanted to see the dashboard, and if they see zero sales, it will be an very big issue. And say for all of us, if there is an incident, that is the highest priority than any of the works that we do. So yeah, so when we wanted to check what have happened, so it could be any simple change, and when we started, we have this product teams, and we have a platform team which will serve uh, all other capabilities. And we as a product team, we will not own all the data that we need, right? We will be dependent on our parent data teams where we will be getting the data from. So say there was some major release that went on in a parent team or the source team, and uh, there is a slight renaming of a column or an alteration in the data type. What would happen is it will break our pipeline without any alerts. So all our pipelines are, if there is a failure, if the column itself is not there, it will fail the pipeline. But if there is, what if there is an data type issue? So what first thing will come is like how to fix this incident. So there will be different choices that we can make. Say a few teams will take, okay, it's just an data type issue. So can we cast it and just push our code so that the pipeline is fixed and sales reports are all up. That is one approach that we can do. Uh, Few teams will say like we will understand what is the core problem. We will check the root cause and see like it's an source stream update failure. So we can do it, but we don't want to do this defensive coding, because if we as a team accept and do this kind of defensive coding, right, like it will be growing forever. Like it can happen to any column. And in data world, if you see, like we own like tables with so many columns, and like we manage a lot of tables. So like we don't want to handle this way. So to do it in a right way, so let's raise and raise this incident with the source team. So source team will be having different priorities, and they need to come fix it. They need to do their deployment, and then only we will be our pipe. We need to run our pipeline. So if you see like say for fixing it, it takes half an hour, and for deployment and rerunning the pipeline, it will take 1 hour or 2 hours. So if you see like for the source stream itself, it will take 1.5 hours. For the downstream, for us, it will take 1 hour. So approximately for an half a day, the dashboards will be down, and our end stakeholders will be affected by this. So yeah, so if you see, based on Gartner's report, around 13 million is something which each organizations lose due to this kind of bad data issues. So uh, yeah, so what could be the common challenges for this data reliability issues? So few things would be schema change, or like if we don't know like who the owners are, like uh, one other thing is like, since we as a data team, like if we are not properly using the sources from right teams, what will happen is like we will check for an column, and if that is available, if we directly use from a different team who is not a source, like then the ownership also we will not know. So we will be like reusing something which other team who is not the real owner, and we will be developing. And when this kind of issues comes, like only then we will reach out to that team. They will say, hey, we are not the owners of it, and then this will be an like chain. And few cases, like there will be a like an extreme change, or some old data which will flow in, and it will also break the pipeline. And monitoring is also one other thing. Like, do we have enough monitoring to say that like these are like the pipeline failed, this is the issue, and whom we should reach out. So these are some things that we wanted like that causes the pipeline failure. So how do we measure like the downtime? So uh, so if you are in a team, and like say for an for a day, or for a data product, like how many instances is coming, and like what is the average time to identify the issue and then rectify the issue. So if you know this, like, and if we can get the like total downtime, and then see like how many hours are we spending, that will give you the data reliability of that particular data set. So this can be applied to different dashboards. Say if we have sales dashboard, we have revenue dashboard. This can be for most of the things. And that is something like, say few teams can say that we have zero incidents. Yeah, having zero incidents is good. But one thing is like being so perfect is also something which we need to look out. Mainly because, say when you say zero incidents, like there could be two possible things. Like there can be like silent failures which we the team might not know, and so we need to look for it. And one other thing is like we developed this dashboard 6 months before, like our stakeholders were using it, but there is no incident. So then that is a good sign for us to go and check if if those dashboards are really like being used. One of the good thing that we as a team should do is like when as data engineers, when we develop some data pipelines for an requirement, to have that as well as part of our KPIs, so that like what we do is like we also monitor whether the dashboard is being used. If that is not being used, that is a very good case where you can go for dashboard setting, because you are saving a lot of energy and also a lot of resources that is being used for that particular dashboard. Yeah. So like to solve this, like what practice which is there for here is like data reliability engineering. So if you see here, like this is been already followed in software engineering as SREs, like site reliability engineers. So the main thing is, like say, when for an like development, we have a lot of things. Say like say we have an APIs, we have all those things in play, and like we have those contracts and we follow that. Can we bring in those things to data as well, so that we as a data team, like we can be much more confident? So like this is the main principle that they wanted to have. So like having this kind of data issues, not with an governance issue, but rather can we have it as an engineering practice? So can we add it as part of the development thing itself? And if something fails, like it fails in the like earlier stages of pipeline itself, rather than like we failing. If the dashboard is failed, then stakeholders come back and then follow the process. Like there will be some process for that particular dashboard and be working on it. So the main thing which we wanted to reduce by following this principle is, like as a developer, like we wanted to like spend most of our day in developing things or solving the business problems, rather than like we doing an RCA and finding out like who is the what is the actual source of this issue and stuff. So for this, like data reliability engineering, like there are a lot of things, like maybe like 7 8 principles that they are suggesting to follow. I have highlighted like uh, four which I feel like will be more relevant, and and I can also show you an example in DBT how this can be implemented as well. So the first thing would be like monitoring. So in this case, like it's not just about like having our pipelines green. Rather, like have we placed enough things to say that our dashboards are observable? Meaning, like do we have proper logging? Do we have proper alerting? Like say, do we have all the like data quality checks as part of our CI as well? So these are some things which we wanted to have within our pipeline and day to day CI/CD itself, so that like we have strong control on our like observability. The second one is like defining the like SLAs and SLOs based on the SLAs. Like the SLAs is the service level indicators which we add in our pipeline. So based on those, can we so as part of any new pipeline development, can we first add these things as part of our development cycle, get those metrics, feed it into our SLOs and SLAs. Mainly because, like at the end of the day, our stakeholders will come and ask, like, we need this report at 8 a.m. in the morning. But do we have our source systems ready, our systems ready to provide those dashboards by 8 a.m.? So that is the major thing. So for that, like rather than coming and thinking about that in UAT phase, can we implement few things in our code itself, so that we can say that, like say when UAT phase comes, like we have these things, we have these dependencies already in place, and we have these metrics. Can we convert these metrics into SLA, so that like we are not overcommitting? So this is one thing. And one other thing is like shift left reliability. So like rather than we uh, like going and I so there is a bug, and we going and finding the root cause and say that the source system have changed this. Rather, can we add those things as part of our daily pipeline run itself, and then whenever there is a pipeline failure, our pipeline itself will not run. So that what we will say is, like today morning our pipeline have not run, but our dashboard is still alive. Like it has just one day stale data, rather than breaking the complete dashboard itself. And one other thing is like embracing risk. So this is something which we can first discuss with our stakeholders and say, like, do we need like 100% SLAs, or like can this be negotiated? And also like do we need to run this pipeline more frequently, or this can be run once in a day? Like these are some things which we can discuss with our stakeholders, have a limit, and then add it as part of this, so that like we can reduce our pipeline frequency as well here. Yeah. So DRE says like we don't want these things as a governance checklist when we go to production. Rather, add all those things as part of our pipeline itself, and have it as an engineering guideline where when we move a story, like we check all these things are in place before moving to any production environment. Yeah, we cannot. Yeah, we cannot assume things, but in data world, we will do some assumptions. So even if we do some assumptions, like can we add a check to those assumptions is our main thing. Like say we are assuming that like data will be within this range. Can we add that as a check as well, so that like we are confident that it is all in the assumed level. Yeah. So this is the SLI. So as an engineer, like what is under my control? If you see like to commit an SLA, I need to have these kind of key indicators as part of my pipeline itself, and then say that my data is healthy. So if my data is healthy, I can confidently say that like yes, if this happen, like my pipeline itself will break, and I can go and check whatever issue is, and we know who is the source team to contact as well. So these are key indicators which we definitely need for understanding our pipeline failure. These can be like this everyone will be knowing, but are we embedding each of these things as part of our pipeline is the only check that we wanted to add. So yeah, freshness is how update my data is. Have we added this test as part of our daily run? Second one is like the accepted range of the data. So like data can change. Like we said we will have data diffs and all. So is the drift within the acceptable range? Say my sales have like increased from yesterday to today in 10%. That is something which can happen because in big billion day sales or any of the Black Friday sales, like that is something which can be expected. But if there is a sales jump from in a 50% or 60% thing, like that is something which we need to alerted before when the pipeline run itself. And completeness of the data. Are we getting all the required fields daily? Like it's not. So the main thing is for the data reliability. It's not a data quality check that we do once. It is data reliability. Like wherein like are we having those checks daily? Whenever our pipeline runs, we don't want someone like a data stewards to go check it in a weekly basis or check it in a daily basis. Rather, can we introduce those things in a daily pipeline itself, and we say that our data quality is continuously there and our data is reliable. And lineage, yeah, this is one major thing which we wanted. Like say if something is broken, like I as a developer, I don't want to go through the like BRD or like a support handbook and see like okay, this is the source team I wanted to go. Rather, can that be embedded as part of the code, and I have everything. Like say when there is an issue, like you go to the log, you click on the link, it will take you to the page where it failed. So there itself you should have all the lineage as well. So these are some things which we can have added, so that like say if we have these things added as part of our daily pipeline, then we can say that like we have this in place. Based on this, like how can we convert these SLIs into an SLA? Yeah, this is an sample. If you see, like say if we add an freshness check for a pipeline, then we can say that for an dashboard, like can this be served at 9 a.m. If that is not like if these freshness checks are already available, say for example, I'm consuming a source, and if the source data load completes only at 8:30 and our job requires at least there should be some buffer which we need, because that is a different source team, and our team's airflow job will be triggering like say 10 minutes or 15 minutes buffer, will our entire pipeline complete within 15 minutes? If that is not possible, like then we are overcommitting our stakeholders that it can be done. And like for that, like we need those SLIs fed into our data pipeline, and then only we will be converting into our SLAs. These are just examples. Like our SLAs can be different. So based on that, like we need to choose the right SLAs, and can that be as added as part of the data pipeline is something we wanted to do. Similarly, like what is the allowed limit for a data skewness or something of that sort, so that like those things can be added as part of our pipeline, and then that can be converted into an SLA. Yeah, so this is the main thing. Like so in order to have more trustable data pipelines, in like software engineering, we have APIs. So if any team is making like producer team is making any change, it should have a schema, and if there is a like schema change which will have a breaking change, they will do a schema evaluation. They will give an buffer for like transferring from one version to other version, and then they shut down the schema. Why can't that be introduced as part of the data pipelines as well? So that is the main thing. Like say, can we introduce a formal like data contracts? Can we also maintain that versions, and can we introduce all those main things that we need for our SLIs as part of this data contract itself? So that is all about like how we define a data contract, and like how that can be used there as well. So rather than giving an blind agreements, like we wanted producers to give an specific contract and then say like we are following. Yeah, so we wanted to move from the tribal knowledge. Like here, if we are in a team, and like the core team only will know that this is the like this is the data set, and this will be publishing at like, or the source will be coming at 6. Rather than having that kind of knowledge, can we document that as part of the code as well? So like teams are like ever like always changing, so not everyone who developed the code will be maintaining it as well. So can we codify it so that like someone who joins newly also knows that this pipeline runs and it has a dependency at 8 a.m. So this can be run at only 9 a.m. So these are some things that we wanted to add as part of our pipeline. So yeah, so before jumping into the example itself, like what does a data contract should have? So if you see, like it has different sections. The first one would be the schema. The schema part, like what it helps us to is to define like whether the required columns and required types are at least coming. So that is the first thing that a data contract will have. The second one is the business things. Have we introduced all the business logics and those checks as part of the pipeline? A simple example would be like say like status of an shipment will change from like ordered to packed to delivered. So does that status has only these three things in place, or there are some discrepancies? So can we add as part of our contract itself? That is one thing. And there will be few business specific things as well, like say terminologies which we will be using there. Is those logics embedded as part of our data contract is something which we wanted to know. Then is the ownership. So like can we add like who is the owner of this data product, and who who are the dependent source dependent teams, and who are the dependent teams using those as well as the as part of the contract itself. So that is the ownership and stakeholders. And data governance. So say for example, for like few tables, we will be having like PII data. Few will be having some classification things and all. Rather than having classifications and those PII things separately, and this code separately, can we embed those tags as well as part of our contract itself, so that it will be like say one place, one solid place where we have everything in place, and we know that, yeah, everything is as per standards. So this is how even in engineering space we will be having for an API spec, right? If anything is changing in API spec, like all the consumers will be affected. So no one will touch an API spec without an evaluation. So that is what we wanted to have. So it's not just a file, like it's the foundation on which all our data products should be in. And like we should evolve if there is a change. Like change is definitely something which is expected, but do we have those versioning and do we evolve it? Yeah, like we have spoke about these things. Like I will give you a short demo on like how these things work. So I have splitted this into two things, like a simple demo where we will have one producer journey and one consumer journey, and like what all things can be added as part of the producer journey and stuff. And this demo, like what I will do is like I will give you with DBT the current tech stack which I am into, but this can be implemented into other areas as well. Like having DBT is not the only solution. Like we have the equivalents like great expectation, we have elementary in place. Are we like the only thought process I wanted to like give as part of this talk is like are we as data engineers, are we thinking about adding this as part of our pipelines? uh, that is just the takeaway I wanted you all to take. Okay, one second, I will. Yeah. So this is the simple producer example that I have. Like it doesn't have mm, much of big things, like a simple thing. If you see, like even for the tables raw data, I have this seed file just to like give you a sample things. And then if you see, like we have our source table, customer order, and daily order metrics available here. So I spoke about the contract. Like this is the main part I wanted to like touch about. So if you see, like this is as similar as an like contract that we have as an for an API, like API spec as well. So if you see here, like this gives you an complete thing about like uh, what all columns does this customer table has, and what all can be included as part of this. If you see here, so in an main thing, like here if you see, like it just has a columns, like this is what our usual pipelines will have, right? Like so if if you wanted to add something like a strict contract, what DBT provides is like contract and enforce it true. So what we need is like, say whenever we start doing any of our data pipeline, like if you are an producer and if you are like going to give this daily order metrics to an like downstream team, do we have all these things? Mainly if you like this will be like adding this at all the layers might take some time. We need some time for adaption, but at least in the layer where our consumers are there, where we publish our data sets to other teams, that is when like this is a mandatory thing. So if we add this like what we wanted to have is like we need to have for all the columns, have we specified the right data type? If there is any change in the data type, that is a breaking change, because it will break our downstream. So say you for example, if I do DBT, so there is a DBT build that is running now. It will take few seconds, but it will just run all the models and then say like whether it is built successfully or not. So what I will do is like I will just modify this integer to say for like for this demo purpose, like say there is a new requirement that comes in and I wanted this total orders or something from an integer to a different data type. And I need to add this change here. if you just add an change here, second. I guess there is a connectivity issue with the database. Give me 1 second. ஹாட்ஸ்பாட் இருக்கு. ஆனா ஸ்னோஃப்ளேக்கோட கனெக்ட் ஆகல. ஸ்னோஃப்ளேக்கோட கனெக்ட் ஆகல.
நெட்வொர்க் எதுல கனெக்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க?
ஃபோன்ல.
நெட்வொர்க் ஃபாஸ்ட்டா இருக்கா?
ஃபாஸ்ட்டா தான் இருக்கு. ஆனா ஸ்னோஃப்ளேக்கோட 2லயுமே கனெக்ட் ஆகல. 2 ப்ராஜெக்ட் வச்சிருக்கு. ஓகே. ஓகே. Sorry. Sorry, it seems to be a connectivity issue only. It's not getting connected to. So the connection is little bit delayed. If you see here, so when I do an like run, right, what it will happen is it will build our models and then it will also run this contract as well. So if there is any change, like say for now, like the total orders is an integer. So once this is completed, what will happen is it will say like all build successful and all the models were loaded successfully. So what we wanted to do is like say I'm a new data engineer to the team, and like I wanted to like make some changes to this total orders type. Say if this contract enforce is not there, and if these things are not in place, what I will do is like I as a data engineer, I will go like I modify this. I also have an equivalent unit test for this. I will do those changes in the unit test. For me, it all looks good. I will do a push. So when I do a push, like it will be propagated, like, and like our consumers will be affected. But if this contract is in place, right, like what it will happen is it will, so let this complete. Post that I will make it to string. So if there are any breaking changes here, right, like what will happen is the pipeline itself will fail. So this is what we wanted to introduce. So like I'm running this in local, but this is some, consider this is something which you set up in CI/CD as well. So when a developer does that in his local, checks everything here, it is all good, he does a commit. So when the commit flows through, like in the GitLab itself, it will fail. So this is what we wanted to have the check in place. Like say moving it to the left means like whenever a change in the contract without versioning happens, it should be like catch in the pipeline itself. It should not propagate to the environment itself. So that is when like we can be confident as an producer that all our consumers are not affected. Yeah. So this is completed, right? So when I do the same thing with this change, I hope it is auto save. Yeah. Yeah. So let this run parallelly. I will also show you our as a consumer, like what all can be introduced as well. Okay, let that run. Like I don't know, like I am using an free tier Snowflake account. It is causing some issue. Uh, it is slow. So what I as an like consumer wanted to do is like I can add this freshness check. Is my table, like I am consuming it from a source, is that source fresh before I run my table? If the source is not fresh, there is no value in doing this kind of or there is no value in running this pipeline itself. Like it will run, but with old data only it will be there. So what we wanted to cut off is like do and dbt freshness check first, run it. If it passes, yeah, it should proceed to the pipeline, or else it should fail first itself, and then we need to connect to the source team and ask them why their pipelines are not like fresh. So this is one thing which you can add. And one other thing is like say as an producer, I am saying this is the primary key. As an consumer, I can also validate the same as part of this contract, so that like we both are like in an alignment. And same kind of accepted value change trust, and like say for example like if there is a table, and like the accepted range for any value should not be negative. So those kind of tests can be included as part of our like contract itself, and then we can test that as part of the CI pipeline. One second. Yeah, you can see here, right? Like it says the column name total orders is of type fixed, but now I have changed it to string. So this is a failure in the pipeline itself. So this is the shift we wanted to have. Like say if a developer he does here in local, it should break here. So even if he is not checking in local, or if the team have some constraints to connecting to the database from local, if they do a push, it should fail in the CA itself, and we are asking those changes here itself. So like these are some things as a producer and consumer of the data product. So because at least most of the organization now have adopted data as a product thought process, and like everything, every team will have their own data sets, and if I am the owner of the data product, like I should be responsible for publishing good quality and standard data, so that like everyone in our organization are consuming the right data. So these are few examples. So I know it is, I have few other slides to cover, so I will go ahead with the slides. I will share you this repo link as well. Like I have a producer journey and a consumer journey. Like this is completely a DBT example that I have, but as I said, like you can look for an alternative. Great expectation and like elementary provides a equivalent set of all the things that is required here. So yeah, so these are some things that I wanted to you all to think about. So for example, like in commit phase of an data pipeline, is the contract enforced? So if that is there, like we can be sure that like anything that passes our CI has a proper contract in place, so that our consumers are not affected. Then schema evolution, like we cannot say like our schemas will be solid forever, like because if that is the case, like we are not like growing and we are not updating with the requirement. Yes, schema can change. What is the life cycle of the schema? Like say if we have an breaking change, or if that needs to be modified, like what is the time span we wanted to give for the consumer teams to adapt to that particular upgraded version. Then like do we have, like say we will have multiple layers, right? Like say we will have raw layer, we will have intermediate layers, and then we will have our consume layer. So in each layer, like do we have enough tests, so that like we can say like at each layer we say that like all the transformations that we have applied and all the business rules that we wanted have enough tests. And also exceptional handling. So in exceptional handling, like we have multiple things, like what is a hard failure and what is a soft failure. Like say like if that is most mandatory thing, and like without that the pipeline should not go ahead, like then we should fail the pipeline itself. Or if there are one or two things which can be quant trained, and like that can be like there can be an alert that can be triggered to a team, and then they can look into the source issue. So these type of things, and each phases, like if we have those things in place, then it will be much more easier to say that like our data product have good quality, and like it is more reliable. Yeah. So the future roadmap and like cultural alignment, right? Like say if you see like what are we going to take, and what we need to pick. So that is the main thing which we will have. Like say like to say our source team have these DBT or just the schema contracts in place, like we cannot like ask to the all the teams as well, right? Like so first start small, like identify the critical dashboards in your team, and then like identify like what are the sources, and then you can go ahead. And for in a if you are a producer, and if there are like say if I'm in a team and there are 100 models that is being there in a consume layer, but around that like only like few things will be shared across the organization. Identify those models first, apply these kind of checks there, so that like we can also say that like we are as equal as software teams, that anything that breaks is happening like by known means only. Like it is, there is no change that happened without any knowledge of the team itself. Yeah. So yeah, this is one meme which was there shared in LinkedIn. So if you see like say like it's the actual pain of an data engineer, I would say. Like say if you want to show the impact that you wanted, uh, like just route the so it's just a change in column name. Just route that to a different bucket. The dashboard itself will be completely empty, and then only like all the stakeholders will be like raising an incident for the same. So it might be a small change for other team, but if you see uh, the end consumer table teams, like it's very high priority incident, because they need to respond to a lot of the queries of end stakeholders. So with this, like I wanted to mention that like have this thought process, like say as a data engineer, like we know like these are best practices which we ourselves have in our mind, but can we embed it as part of the code? Like we wanted to move that shift alone. Like we know as a data engineer, like these things should be there. These are necessary for a reliable data pipeline, but are we introducing these shifts as part of the like actual code itself, so that like it is not with you, you share it with your team? Yeah, that's all I had, and thank you.